Hi everybody, we are going to get started with March Club Q, and the kit we are working on right now is called Positive Vibes, and we are excited to have this new paper line, some bright colors for spring. The paper line is called French Riviera, and this is one we're using just bits and pieces of it right now. It is brand new. We don't even have the entire line printed yet. Some of it is being saved for private reserve, which is our 3-day events in the fall. But this is just a really fun springy paper, and we are going to get started. The first thing you want to do is to pick out the color of powder puff chalking inks you want to use. This one suggests turquoise, malachite, pumpkin pie, and citrine. A few of those are from our new gemstone collection. They're brand new. If you don't have those, just choose any yellow, blues, greens. There's even pink in this one if you want to highlight the pink. Lots of different colors you could choose from. I actually have a couple of our older colors here. I have Summer Days, which is a yellow. I have Weeping Willow for kind of an olive green. I have a darker green, which is Fields of Green. So I might just switch it up as we go. I also have Petunia here, which is, mine's really messy, but this is from our last ink collection, the Secret Garden collection. But we are going to get started with the cutting diagram first. So I always try to start with the cutting so that we can just get our trimmer in and out of here and out of your space. So we are going to grab the green 12 by 12 paper, and we're going to cut 2 5x7s and 2 3x4s, and then you actually have quite a bit of paper left over. So if you want to save those for backers or something, you can. So I'm going to put it in at 7 inches and trim. And then I'm going to turn that and cut it at 5 and 5 again. And at any time if I get going too fast, just pause your video and you can always come back to it. So we have 2 5x7s. And we need 3x4s. So I am going to trim this at 3. And you can actually, on this one, you have so much extra paper, you could do your 4s first if you want. I'm going to trim it at 3. And then I'm going to turn it and trim at 4. Slide this one through and trim it at 4 again. So you have some extra pieces. You can set those to the side and use for something else. I know a lot of times we say don't throw your scraps away because we tend to use them, but those are 2 that we won't use. Okay, and then this diagram is done. The only other cuts we need to make are, you need to trim out your journaling piece and your little Positive Vibes banner there. And you have 2 pieces of paper. We always try to put the cutting diagrams at the very beginning so that you can get that out of the way. You have a blue piece and an orange piece. Your orange piece is 3x8. And we are just going to cut that in half at 4. So you have 3x4s, okay? And then I just kind of sit my pieces in piles by color. This one is a 4x12, and we are also going to cut that in half at 6. So you'll end up with 2 4x6s. And I believe that is all the cutting From there, you can punch out all of your die cuts, which I already did in advance. And I want to show you something here. This is where we say, don't throw anything away because we use these pieces, these negative pieces here, we actually are going to use for photo backers. So when you punch out those flowers, don't get rid of these. We are going to use those. Okay, so let's move our trimmer out of the way and we will get started with our two background papers. Let me make sure that these are both in the picture here so that we can kind of work on both as we go. Okay. So once you have your two background papers, we are just going to start layering together the photo mats first. That's the easiest part there. So you have already pre-cut for you some white pieces. And then, like I said, we are also going to use these. So you have, these are, I think, 4.5 by, or 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. And then you have one that's solid that was cut in there. So grab those 4. And I'm gonna lay these out. Do these first. So you should have 2 blue 4x6s and 2 pink 4x6s to put on there. So go ahead and chalk those up around the edges if you'd like to. Let's find a color here. I'm actually going to use, this is jade, so it's kind of a green that's I'm going to do around the outside edge here. The nice thing about this paper line is that you can, well, this is a really, really old one. This is actually a prototype, I think. So this paper line, it lends itself to so many different colors that you just choose what works for you. I gotta get a better ink here. That one is on its last leg. I think I've had that one for at least 2 years, which doesn't always happen. Okay, I'm gonna put a little green around it. So yeah, it's really nice with this paper line. You can add whatever colors because almost anything goes. There's even a little bit of purple in here, so if you want to add some purple, you could do that. Let me get my glue here. And a lot of times for this kind of stuff, I use my ATG gun. But today, I have, oops. My Barely Art glue, which is really precision tip permanent glue. I love this stuff. It dries clear. And I use it a lot of times for more intricate like die cuts and stuff like that, but this is what I have today, so I'm going to use it for my photo mats also. So we have a blue mat that we are going to put right in the center of this. So what you want to do is not put any adhesive right in the middle, just a little around the edges. Another great thing about this glue is that you can just do a few dots here and there and it dries permanent. Oops. Centered right there. So you do 2 blue, 2 pink. I'm going to put a little green around the edges here. And the same for that one, just a little around the edge. And the pink, and I don't have a pink over here, but I'm going to actually use a darker blue on this and just see, it might come out a little bit purplish kind of like that. So this is deep sea. And then it makes the edges of these purple. But if you have like wildflowers or berry jam or something like that that's kind of a darker pink, that would be really pretty on here too. Okay, and then you have your 4x6s done. You have these, which I think are 5 1/4 by 7 1/4, and then your 2 green pieces that go right on top of it. And I'm going to chalk up the edges with a darker green. This is Fields of Green. You choose what works for you. Fields of Green might be my favorite green. I actually really like our new malachite color too, so if you have that, I know this one had suggested this, so that one's a really kind of bright Kelly green, I guess you would call it. I love that one. Center that. Inks are looking a little worn. I've had a lot of these on my desk for a couple of years. Some only last up to a year depending on how much I use them, 7, 8 months. Some of them I use a lot, but some of these have been sitting here for quite a while and they're still working. That's what I love about these inks too, is that with the powder puffs, you don't have to replace them all the time. They tend to last quite a while. Okay, so we have our photo mats. Actually, let's go ahead and do the smaller ones also. Out of your die cuts that you punched out, you have 4 smaller photo mats like this, and those are actually going to, I'm going to kind of place these so that I can get them out of my way. Just looking at the picture, I'm just using this as a loose guideline here, but once you get photos onto your pictures, you may want to move these around a little bit so that you're not covering up an important part of your picture. So if you don't have, or you're not putting your photos in right now, you may want to just slightly tack down the backers so that you can lift them up and do them later. And you can always spread this out further too. If you don't want some of your frames being covered up, or your pictures being covered up, you can adjust these to what works for you. And I'm just laying them out for now so that we can lay our flowers out and see where we kind of need to adjust. Okay, so you have 4 like this that you punched out of your die cut, and then you have 2 smaller green ones that you cut and 2 smaller orange ones that you cut. And on these you can use any color. I'm going to actually use, let's see, I'm going to use Summer Days, so I'm just going to brighten up the edge with some yellows. go ahead and center these. And I like, this one has some blue and green in it. I'm going to go around it with some blue here. It's kind of fun with the paper lines that you can add lots of colors to. And you might want to use colors that, here's a green one, that match your photos. So if you have photos that have a lot of green in them, maybe chalk things up with green. If you're trying to bring out the pink, maybe use a pink. Let me put another yellow here. And we just posted on our Facebook page, I believe. We also put in an email, just a quick little video too of using our powder puffs, some of our new colors, with our stencils that we have online. They turn out really pretty. They're super easy to use. We have little daubers that you can use. So check that out. Okay, so one orange, and this is where you kind of want to just lay things out to see where you want it, and then adjust when you go to put photos in. Okay, so we have our photo mats all ready to go. Now we need to grab our flowers. I am going to start with the large flower on page 1, and I'll show you how to layer that. So we are going to start page 1, and I'm starting with the yellow background on this large flower. The next piece that goes on there is this pink large flower. And I don't see this one has a little tail. Sometimes in some of these kits, the other one has a little tail, but this is the easiest way to figure out which way this goes. You'll have to just kind of keep turning it, but this one right here, it has kind of a crab, looks like crab pinchers here. That is where your pink little knob that comes off of here, that's where that goes, and it matches up right on there. So this is a little, they're kind of close together, and it looks like a crab pincher that goes right on top of it. And you can just keep turning it until it all goes together. So I'm going to put a little glue on the back of this. And you don't have to have glue over the entire thing. Save some of your glue. Once you get this in your page protector, it's going to lay flat, so you don't have to have all of that glued down. Okay, on top of that is a white, more intricate flower. And I'm going to put a little, you might want to try and line it up first. But what I do is, so here's this part that looks like crab pinchers here, and that goes right at the bottom. So a lot of times I'll put a little notch like I did on the pink one that looks like it didn't get put on the white. You can always trim that right off, otherwise you won't even really see it. You can cover it up with the other flower that's going in. If you want to trim that off, you can. Okay, so you have your first big flower. The one that goes next to it is the smaller solid pink with, so not the yellow that's really intricate, but the other one. We want this one here. And here's the one that looks like a crab. I'm gonna line that up. And on top of that, again, is the white. And there we go. So if you need to take a minute and just pause and turn this so that it matches up. You can also chalk these up before if you want to. Like if you want that yellow to be brighter, you can chalk that up yellow before you glue it down. A little glue on the back. I didn't get that lined up exactly right. That's okay. Okay, you have your second flower. And then we'll go ahead and make the flowers for this side as well. We have one that is a white backer. And this is kind of fun. If you want to chalk up the white, you can add a little yellow to it or another color, and it'll show through those petals. But there's a white and then pink. And if you want to change this color completely, you could chalk that whole white piece too if you wanted to. Okay, how does this go? There we go. So it gives a little yellow behind there. And then the yellow intricate piece goes on top here. Find I think I have this one backwards. There we go. Gets a little tricky lining these up, but they do fit eventually. Okay, and then we have one last one, the yellow with pink on top of it. So again, this is the piece that's easiest for me to line up. And the white on top of that. I'm going to move this out just a little bit. A little more space. So once you have your photos and you know exactly where you want your flowers and they're not covering up important parts of your pictures, then you can glue all this down to your page. You have a little bag of brads. Those just go into the top of your journaling page or journaling sheet. Sorry, I dropped something in the middle of that. And then there is the positive vibes. You can punch one brad through each end of this, okay? This just goes over here once you have your picture in. This one gets tucked underneath here unless you want to put it somewhere else where you can use more of the writing space. That works too. The last piece we have, and I'm going to line these up so that in case I flip them over and they're not matching, we have two And I tore this one on accident. Oops. We have 2 big leaves and 2 small leaves. Okay, and then 2 big pieces that go over the top, like this. And then the other 2 match up the smaller ones. But what I wanted to show you is if you want to give some color underneath of that, before you glue these together, I would add a little color to your leaf underneath of that. And it doesn't have to be completely solid, maybe just a little bit green in there. I like to leave kind of the softness, the chalky look of it. So I'm not covering the entire thing. I'm gonna lay that down. And I'm going to put just a few dots of glue. Because again, this doesn't have to be completely covered with glue, just enough to kind of hold it on there. And this one's real intricate, so that Barely Art glue is really good for that. And then these just get tucked in behind your flowers. But the back part you can make as light or as dark as you want as far as the color. This one I'll do a little bit darker. And another trick would be to, let's see if I have an envelope here. You could lay it down and pat the color onto if you want more of a solid color. My ink's a little soft. I actually like it when they start drying out a little bit because it makes it a much chalkier look. But if you want an all over color, you can do that. And you need a little glue on the back. Just make sure you're line it up with your leaf first so that you make sure you're putting glue on the correct side. And I accidentally tore the end off of this one, but it will still work. And then you just tuck it underneath there. Same goes for the smaller ones. I'm going to use Weeping Willow on this one, so it's a little more olive green color. Just to show you what that looks like. A little glue. And we're almost done. Not hard to put together, but I love the look of this page. Last one. And I hope you have the perfect pictures to put in these. They're just really fun, springy layouts. And if you don't have spring pictures yet, these would be good for like a tropical vacation, summertime pictures. There's a lot you could do with these pages. So there you have it. Simple kit to put together, nice and bright. Hope you enjoyed it. And thank you for being a Club Q member. We appreciate you.